Semen retention, a deep perspective. This is not my post, I got this from Reddit. Enjoy today's message. You see, semen retention is an ancient wisdom which many categorize something as occult. Now the word occult has gained negative connotations of something being sinister, more so because of conspiracy theories, which has its own agenda but beyond scope of this discussion. However, occult only means something that is hidden from sight perception. The old great people understood how the human body worked in terms of energies, its vibrations, frequency, entanglement, resonance, etc. We loosely call it vibes. We say, I don't want to be with this guy because he gives very negative vibes. But what actually is occurring is that your energetic body, also known as aura, is not vibrating in coherence with the other person's energy, and you subconsciously perceive that as negative vibes. There is nothing such as positive, negative, it's just a frame of reference, a benchmark for measurement though, which we label stuffs antagonistic to our sense of self, etc. Our brains are 3D, hence we make sense judgment of this reality in terms of measurements, which is through labels of duality, hot cold, light dark, up down, etc., and its varying degrees. That is why it is an intrinsic property of human brain to judge, which includes judgment of others through lens of one's own subconscious beliefs, preconceived notions, repressed emotions, and physiological projections. Carl Jung called this one's shadow. Unfortunately, our modern science, which got rediscovered during the Great European Renaissance between 14th to 17th century CE, is material and empirical based and dismisses the idea of we being as energetic beings resonating at different frequencies, densities, and co-creating our external realities. Hence there is no objective reality but only subjective reality of humans. We need something in relation to which is the foundation of Einstein's theory of special relativity. After all, the very foundation of creativity is fractal, quantum, and holographic, and is expressed in the language of mathematics. Yes, we can express our entire creation in mathematical terms. Or else Einstein could have never discovered black holes, because the first discovery of black holes were done through pure mathematics. At that time nobody had powerful telescopes to view distant space. But later, when our modern science caught up with sending powerful telescopes into orbit, then we observed presence of a cosmic body that had properties of a black hole. Please note, nobody has ever seen a black hole because light cannot escape a black hole to reflect back onto your eyes to see. This gives hope to our theoretical physics, which many dismiss it as guesses shooting in the dark. The reason we have not expressed our entire creation in mathematics because we are yet to discover higher mathematics to express emotions, consciousness, non-physical, etc. Like a new branch of mathematics titled calculus was invented to supplement prove a new upcoming science of that time called mechanics, and later electromagnetism. Hence, I am not against science, however I do feel that it has to do a lot of catching up. Unfortunately, current outlook of science has never been able to explain what exactly is an atomic charge, what is energy, gravity, vacuum, or for that matter mass. It's a debate whether mass results from Higgs boson subatomic particle or is it a function of space-time continuum, why atoms have 99% empty space, why DNA has 10 strands of junk and behaves like some sort of information receiving antenna. If space of universe is expanding, then what is it expanding into, what is causing this expansion? AKA, what is dark energy? If humans evolved from monkeys, then why monkeys still exist, and why don't we find any intermediary fossil of any half monkey half human? Is virus a living or non-living entity? Why are so many pyramids found all over the globe that mimic giant energy generators of some sort and constructed with great mathematical marvel? Why mathematics, being language of creation, still never proves its own existence? Is mathematics cyclic? Does it starts to converge after infinity, the science behind fulfillment of prayers, NDEs, dreams, etc. So you see, modern science never attempts to look into the unseen non-physical and only focuses on what can be seen through our 5 senses and observed rationally by our brains. Nikola Tesla was one prominent scientist who went into unseen, but we know what happened to him, but I will not go there. But we have forgotten or have ignored the fact that ancient people had wisdom to look into the unseen and understood spirituality much better than most of us today. Spirituality is the awareness of energetic divine connection between one's mind, body, and spirit, and its journey through hierarchical densities of unity consciousness. They understood universal laws too, and two among them were law of free will and law of karma. Law of free will ensured that every incarnated living being on 3D Earth had their choice and were at different stage of their evolution based on their current consciousness. You see, to experience higher consciousness, we humans require higher sensory faculties. Unfortunately, most humans are limited by their lower 5 senses of touch, smell, taste, hear, see, and reasoning. This is the basis of materialism on which the current society is based upon. Fashion, movies, literature, sports, cuisine, romance, and sex, career, you name it, is all based on worship of our 5 senses, which is called identification with our physical bodies. But we have forgotten the other two aspects of ourselves, our mind, subconscious and unconscious, which is different from our physical brain and spirit. Our connection to unity consciousness. Prominent philosophers, psychiatrists, and social scientists have tried to study this very part of mind, and ancient religions have tried to explain this very part of spirit. Alas, modern science have debunked them as pseudoscience, imagination, placebo, or worse as superstitions, or worst as something satanic. But we see unhappy people even though they are blessed with money, beauty, health, and always seem to miss something. This is the basis of modern social midlife crisis that many experience. Because they have been running after different pleasures of life. Please understand, pleasure is dopamine-induced, short-lived, and is a lower category derivative of joy. Please tell me, if sex was real joy, then any person must feel joyful for rest of his life after one session of sex. But this is not the case, as the joy that we get after sex is short-lived, and to attain that very joy we continue to do more and more sex. This is because sex is pleasurable, which is not the real eternal joy which we all subconsciously want to achieve. Thus we run in circles trying to achieve that under a grand illusion that we will achieve it through bodily material stuff someday, but we forget that there is no future or past but only eternal. But we have grossly ignored our other two parts, mind and spirit. But nothing can be further from the truth. Truth can only be delayed, obfuscated, masqueraded or manipulated, but can never be eliminated. Like COVID pandemic taught us the importance of mental health mind. I am hopeful that in future some big global event can bring light onto our third aspect as well, which is spirit. Anyway, higher sensory faculties include intuition. That's why it's called sixth sense, as it comes right after where our five senses stop, telepathy, telekinesis, clairvoyance, etc., and we know how grossly are we limited through our five senses. We can only see the visible portion of the electromagnetic spectrum and thus cannot see objects in X-ray or radio waves. We hear in a certain auditory range only and cannot hear sounds in ultrasonic range. We cannot touch, taste or smell black matter, which constitutes 25% of our observed universe by volume. We cannot perceive parallel realities, dimensions, densities or missing antimatter, etc. Now coming to point, to develop these higher faculties, we humans have to do various sadhanas. Many reject this as something esoteric or woo-woo stuff, despite knowing how limited are we through our five senses. Sadhana is a Vedic word for specialized practices, rituals to gain higher powers purely for realizing higher consciousness and not for profit, commercialization or black magic ill will. Because desire for profit ill will is manipulation which interferes with the law of free will of any human being. Our entire advertising industry and mainstream social media is based on profit and at times ill will, and thus gullible humans are manipulated into thinking only in terms of materialism and ignore spirituality and their true freedom. Read about psychological warfare and mind control. SR is one such sadhana, which is why it's different from Nofap, because Nofap is a low derivative of SR. True sadhana is for developing one's higher faculties to experience higher consciousness, whereas lower category derivatives of sadhanas like Nofap is for bodily gains and boosts ego. And we know, until ego is not dissolved, we can't experience unity consciousness. Because it's your ego that differentiates you from others and imparts a sense of individuation into you. That is why a person having big ego is repelled by others. Because more the ego, more you're away from God. On the contrary, humble people are nothing but people with less inflated ego. Thus, other people like them. Humble people have capability to look within themselves because they subconsciously know everyone is one and nobody is perfect, including themselves. There are numerous high-level sadhanas as per Vedas, however few common ones apart from SR include fasting, yoga, grounding, manifestation, meditation, breath work, etc. For many, true success is to avail higher consciousness. And the irony is that the moment you advance in spirituality, materialistic thoughts including profit takes a back seat and the person is no longer interested in you but rather in himself. Human beings who do sadhanas to attain higher consciousness will only spread their knowledge if you're qualified. Because they understand the law of free will and law of karma, which states, do not help anybody till they themselves are ready to be helped without a victim mentality. Modern feminism is based on this very victim archetype, which teaches that women are eternally suppressed, hence demean men and embrace a slut culture, which is liberating. As per law of karma, you are incarnated in present life to experience duality-based 3D reality bases your current level of evolution in awareness soul journey, and thus it becomes necessary to undergo experiences. Please understand various experiences which we perceive as good or evil, like poverty, ugliness, riches, beauty, etc., are just states of mind viewed through rules of society. And what is rule of a society? It is something that many people have agreed upon and assumed it to be true. The deficiency here is the term majority, which doesn't include all human beings and definitely doesn't include views of lower conscious living beings like plants, animals, insects, birds. Has any forest ever willfully allowed humans to deforest them for industrial or agricultural profit? For example, a girl born as beautiful in this life is also on her karmic path wherein she will get lots of attention, unlimited access to sex, can marry a rich guy, etc., thus having a risk of inflating her ego. However, this is what we or she is perceiving from our frame of references. The background reality is that the divine consciousness wants her to experience that reality and will test her whether can she rise above her pride, vanity, ego, materialism to attain God's spirituality or not. If she is having unlimited access to sex, can she rise over this abundance and distraction to practice celibacy and to develop higher faculties to realize higher awareness? Can she in that process radiate love to her fellow human beings on principles of love and not on pride which she has been entrusted with? In a way, even the most rich, beautiful, and lucky humans are on their karmic path and are being tested. Can they move higher in consciousness despite having material abundance? Same goes for a poor boy-girl born in poverty. Can he/she, despite his/her inferiority complex and neediness for money, can rise above his/her current awareness to spread help to humanity instead of becoming a fearful wealth accumulator and doing no charity or becoming a gold digger? Can he/she attain spiritualistic values, etc.? One of the main purpose of your life here is to rise above your perceived and assumed conditions and to move higher into awareness consciousness to experience soul evolution and eternal bliss. Deeply, we don't actually want to have our love interest or that sports car or that job or that big house. We want feelings associated with those items which imparts feelings, emotions of being loved, safe, peace, relief, accepted, respected, freedom from depression, anxiety, etc. Read more on this by 4 Basic Survival Archetype, Victim, Child, Saboteur, Prostitute by Carl Jung. Thus, only when the true student Shishya is ready, the true teacher guru emerges. Hence, few people in this subreddit request you to have reasons and purpose for which you want to retain your semen, else you'll relapse. So, as per me, successful people are those who rise above their ego despite whatever their karmic circumstances be and do something for humanity on principles of love and helping them realize their own divinity. Like Jesus, Swami Vivekananda, Nikola Tesla, Osho, Neville Goddard, Carl Jung, Swami Shivananda, etc. This list does not include our attention-seeking celebrities, profit-oriented rich businessmen, vanity-driven fashion queens, or your local YouTube or Instagram influencers who manipulate the innocent. Also, if one is retaining purely for selfish purposes, then SR is not a sadhana for you. You're just experimenting based on your ego to eat a semi-cooked food which may satiate your hunger but will never taste good. You will still crave for delicacy. Thus, many true, successful people don't speak about SR frequently because then that will interfere with your current karma cycle and free will. You're free to indulge in mindless PMO, thus only to realize one day that it was just a coping mechanism for you to run away from your true self in pursuit of happiness. True happiness starts to filter in only when you start to realize your own divinity. It's a lifetime process. And SR is one such tool to achieve that in terms of having enough sexual energy required to function higher consciousness. Lastly, the false, successful people, who because of their karmic blessings and or exercising few sadhanas do manage to achieve material abundance, but don't share many a times knowledge of practices like SR because they operate on fear, greed, ego rather than love. They fear that if everyone comes to know about such sadhanas then everyone will have a potential to attain a higher life which will render them as something less. There cannot be rich or powerful without enough poor powerless people around. They sense competition and profit jealousy, greed. And if they do tell, again not always, they mostly propagate this information only for profit like your local YouTubers, or may chose not to speak holistically but a filtered version of entire process imparting doubts in minds of viewers. P.S. Sensing divinity as per me is in your 3 parts, mind, peace, body, love, and spirit, bliss, joy. If physical exercise, healthy diet, and freedom from substance abuse are medicines for the body, then meditation, mindfulness, and freedom from dopamine addictions are medicines for the mind. End of the day, you want to feel love in your body, feel peace in your mind. Finally, stuffs like grounding, fasting, celibacy, prayers, yoga, gratitude, forgiveness, etc. are medicines for the spirit and you want to feel joy. Thanks for a long and detailed reading, folks. Keep retaining with a higher purpose. Semen retention indeed is a powerful tool. May God bless you and me. Amen.